folks, MACT back. Sorry if you hear nail guns in the background and all that other stuff. We did go through a storm and everybody's fixing their roofs. So bear with me on this. So hopefully it doesn't carry on into the camera too much. But we wanted to talk about this right here. You guys know what this is. It's a water pump. Now, you got to stop and think. Everybody's always talking about this. Ford, if you're listening, hey, here's how I did it. People always want to ask how I did it, what I'm doing. How did I get 2 Ford Edges to at or over 300,000 miles and not have a water pump failure? So I'm going to tell you what I did and how I did it. And you can weigh in whether or not it's something you want to do. But since everybody's always asking, what do we do? I felt I might as well make a video on it so everybody can understand how I am accomplishing this on my Ford Edges on the 3.5 Duratec. That's right. This is a water pump from a 3.5 Duratec. It is as you can see, a first gen. Why? Because it has 1 sprocket on it. The 2011s will have 2 sprockets because the chain is wider. Ford changed the design. So since I ran both of these, 2008 and a 2011, I'm going to do this and let you guys know what happened. The gasketing and all this other stuff is very important in what I'm going to explain because everything here is touched by 2 items. And what are those 2 items it's touched with? It is touched with coolant and it is touched with oil. Because on one side, on this side, as you can see, it's got a little bit of varnish on it. That's because it was a synthetic blend oil used in it, I think, for a bit of time. And it was changed not because it was failing, but because the owner felt it was going to fail. And this was more or less a preventative measure. And she is quite happy with the results because now her Edge is still motoring down the road. But this thing has nice smooth turning and everything else on it, so it really was in good shape. So she did take care of her Edge pretty good. Now on the back side, we have no tarnish or varnishing on it because, well, you do see the varnishing on the outside along the gaskets here all the way around. Yes, oil does touch the other side. Oil does touch the gaskets on the outside right here, folks. It does touch it. Now on the inside, it touches the gasket here with the coolant. You getting my drift? 2 different things going on. We have oil and we have water. We have coolant. Both working on this. Now we also have temperatures and everything else that are going on, because what is the temperature of the oil versus the temperature of the coolant? Good question, right? I'm going to assume that the oil's probably a wee bit hotter, which the coolant draws the temperature away to help keep it cooler, and that helps in that process. But how did I do mine? And that's really what I'm trying to encompass here. And 2 primary things. 1, change your oil. Use a synthetic oil. What oil to use? I don't know. You go here and you can buy theirs. You can buy any brand of oil you want as long as it says one thing: full synthetic. That's it. Quality of the oil, I did oil testing. You can go to my MACT garage, read all the oil tests you want. But the fact of the matter is, no one oil can say my water pump lasted because I used it, because I've used well over 30 different brands of oil in that Duratec, and the water pump is at 310,000 miles. So that being said, the other one used all sorts of different brands of oil. The only thing that was consistent in all my time was changing of the oil. Timely changing of the oil. Changing it when it needed to be changed. And you guys might think, well, gosh, he changed it at 3,000 miles. No, he did not. I did not change my oil at 3,000 miles. I was running my oil to 10 to 12,000 miles. Like I said, timely changing based on your driving. Now, do I change the oil of my wife's car at 3,000? A lot of times I do. Why? Because she idles that thing to death. She puts as many hours on the clock as I do when I drive 12,000 miles. So I change her oil at a different rate. But the thing is, I change a full synthetic and I change it in a timely manner. So how do you know that? I use lab testing to determine when I change my oil, and I now know when to change it. So city driving, all high idle, mom bus type stuff as I call it, you want to change it 3, 4, 5,000 miles, whatever you're comfortable with. But if you're all interstate like I drive mine, then 10, 12,000 miles is good. The oil's still good. But the whole thing is, between all of them, it's synthetic oil. So synthetic oil helps lubricate the other part of the water pump. That's right. Down in here, there's seals. These seals down in here, inside where I dissected the water pump, are rubber seals. You want to make sure you got good fresh oil in there to help protect those shaft seals that are in here. That's right. You want to help protect them. You want to make sure that oil's good. You don't want varnish in there clogging it up, building up in there because it doesn't flow good. And when that oil starts clogging up, guess what? Then it just starts eating away like acid, because oil contains an acid as you run it and don't do good oil changes. Then it eats away at the seal. Same problem on the other side of the house. Coolant. When do you change your coolant? Now this is a concentrate. This is the new Peak 10X. By the way, none of these guys are sponsors. It's just what I found that works. Now when do I change my coolant? I change my coolant 30,000 miles or 2 years, whichever comes first. Change it out. What happens to coolant as it ages? It becomes, as they say, alkaline or acidic. You want to have that nice middle ground in there. You don't want it too alkaline, you don't want it too acidic. So you want to make sure you change your coolant out to keep it nice and level as far as pH of the coolant goes. That's what you want to do. So 30,000 miles, I change, drain and fill 3 times. I buy the concentrate and I just mix it and do it that way. If you do a flush, then you have to use distilled water to flush everything out. And then if you have concentrate, once you get it flushed out and do that last drain where it's coming out clearish water, then you don't have to do anything more than buckle everything up, open the cap, and pour in a bottle of concentrate until it fills up, and you'll be almost spot on the 50%. Use a coolant tester, $5 at any auto parts store, you'll figure it out. I got plenty of videos on that. But the whole point is that you keep your coolant from becoming acidic. Now what happens when it gets acidic? See this inner seal right here? Now the acid starts working on this seal. The oil, it starts working on this seal. Other things can happen. If you don't change your coolant enough, now you can start building up corrosion. That little white stuff you see, that builds in there. Once that builds in there, it gets inside that seal, it hydraulically fractures the seal, and then you got coolant coming out of your weep holes. That's right, you got a weep hole right here, and then you got another weep hole. Gosh, where is it? Can't find it right now. I can't see it. Anyway, you got another weep hole. So you got your 2 weep holes here, and then the coolant will start coming out. You notice you got your openings here to get lubricant into the pump shaft or the coolant to help lubricate that. Now inside on this other side of the shaft, if you watch my dissection video, you'll see that you also have the rubber steel reinforced gaskets in there along with the needle bearings. They all have to have the needle bearings, need the oil from the engine, and the shaft here keeps that seal from actually becoming hard. So by changing your coolant, the acid's not allowed to act on that seal and make it brittle. And if it gets hard and brittle, then eventually instead of swelling up, it shrinks. When it starts shrinking and getting hard, then it starts pushing into the needle bearings of the shaft, and then they get water incursion into that. Then you get shaft wobble, and once you get shaft wobble, the seals break free, and now you got water dumping into your oil. Your coolant goes in. That's all there is to it, folks. That is the whole scenario. And how do I prevent it? Oil and coolant changes. Frequent oil changes and frequent 30,000 mile max, 2 years coolant changes. Drain and fill 2 or 3 times and you'll be good to go. That's all you got to do. If you just want to do a drain and fill and you already have the same type of coolant, you can buy the concentrate, mix it up with 1 gallon of this, you get 2 gallons of coolant, you can just pour it in there. Get a container, pour it into a big container, and then just drain it and fill it back up. Because if you'd add distilled water in the coolant, you end up with 50-50 mix. And it's cheaper to buy the concentrate. And Peak has served me a long time. Hundreds of thousands of miles on my water pump. So aftermarket stuff will work perfectly fine. Now the water choice. Don't use a garden hose, folks. Our body needs minerals, but our engine does not. Distilled water has the minerals taken out of it. That's why it's not really good for humans to drink distilled water. I mean, you can. It ain't going to kill you. But if you drink it long enough, and you can start having mineral loss in your body, because water can have calcium and other minerals in it that your body needs. But your engine does not need calcium. That's a bad thing to build up inside there. It's sort of like plaque building up in your heart and then blocking your arteries. You don't want calcium in your water, so don't use garden hoses and water out of your kitchen sink or anything like that. Go ahead and use distilled water. Then you'll have a better mix. And these guys, when they make their coolants that are pre-diluted, they don't use water hose water. They use distilled water on that for various reasons, but one, for longevity of the product, and also not to have problems and warranty claims and all this other stuff. So that's what you're really paying for in that aspect. But the water, the oil, and the coolant, 3 things that you have to pay attention to, and you won't have any problems, you know, for the most part with your water pumps. Now how you drive it is a whole nother problem. If your jackrabbit starts, stops, and just running your edge hard, towing, and all this other stuff, that all decreases the lifespan of the engine anyway. But, you know, what I'm telling you is not necessarily a foolproof thing, but it is how I've achieved what I've done through maintenance. And that's really what, you know, the whole point of this is good maintenance. So if you're going long miles on your coolant, God bless you. Hope you have good luck with it. But quite frankly, you know, pay attention to what I've done, and if it works for you, you know, it's working for me. So I'm just sharing what's working for me and letting you all know what's going on. But hey, if you found this video very beneficial or not, like it, subscribe, click a couple ads to help pay for the bills, and make sure you join MACTFORDEDGE on Facebook. And gosh, Band of One's always got some great music playing. My feet hit the floor today. I'm having a great day. I want you to have a great day too. And Mercy Girl's always got a couple of one-liners.
Thank you for watching MacT's videos, and remember to like and subscribe. This is a Mercy Girl production.